All right, guys. Well, this is another episode of Movies and Minutes. And this week we have my friend Kevin on. Kevin, is it okay if I call you Kevin the Hellion?
Well, it's Kevin Hellions. It's not the Hellion.
No, okay. So Kevin
Hellions.
Hellions. Okay,
Yeah.
kind of like John Constantine.
Yes.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
I have many like you and I are friends in real life.
Mm-hmm.
I have many writing and podcasting and whatever friends that I've yet to meet.
Mm-hmm.
I will one day, but I've yet to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And the vast majority of them call me Hellions. I'm in their phone as Hellions. They'll call me Hellions. They'll text me as it.
Okay. So before we jump in here, so why is it with an S? Is it like are you like the royal we? Is there a couple of you in there?
So my shoot legit last name is a very
Mm-hmm.
unique last name. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like Smith or Jones or whatever.
I'm familiar. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So when I first started writing and doing stuff online, I'm like, I don't want people to be able to trace it back to me. Like you could easily, if I piss someone off, you could easily find me, was my concern. So
Okay.
I'm like, I need an alias online. And I
Mm-hmm.
was trying to think of something, trying to think of what my
Mm-hmm.
site name wanted to be. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm going to cover comics. I'm going to cover wrestling. I'm going to cover certain things. What is a catch-all name?
Yeah.
What could I use? And my friend Matt, at the same time, was trying to record music. And he ended up having a song called Hellions. And I'm listening to it. I'm like, damn, I like this name. I kind
Mm-hmm.
of like this idea. I like this word and all. I'm like, I want this name. He's like, well, you're not making song with it. I'm like, I'm not making song. It's something completely different, you know?
Yeah.
He's like, use it for your thing. I'm using it for my thing. I was like, all right, cool.
All
So
right.
it was Team Hellions for a little while, which I
Mm-hmm.
lost the URL for that. Long story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like completely lost it. Like someone else bought it up. So I recently bought Hellions Team because
Because it was gettable.
one I could get it, and two, it is a team. Like yourself, the people at the comic store are part of what make me.
Mm-hmm.
People I podcast with, people I do interviews with, people I write with, whatever it is. It's all the team that makes up me and that I like to share. I like to share your guys' posts for things. I'll, of course, be sharing
Of
this on social media. You
course.
know,
Thank you.
it's a team effort for any of us trying to break through online, I think.
Yeah, something about being a nerdy man, it takes a lot. You're a nerdy girl and it's just you like blink and you just got 1,000 subscribers, but
And
oof.
it's
Hmm.
nothing against nerdy girls. Wonderful,
No, never.
beautiful, and we're both old enough to remember when there weren't any, or at least they were more hidden. You know?
Yeah, we just didn't know about them.
And we didn't know about them. And now we know many of them. I
Hmm.
need to find one still, but I'm aware that they're out there.
Hmm.
But
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for a long time, it was just guys like us out there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there's also a lot of what's our swearing policy on here? Should have asked that before we started recording.
I want people to be as authentic as possible.
All right. Unfortunately, there's a lot of shitty guys out there too.
Hmm.
In every world, in nerd world, in sports world, and
Hmm.
doctors, like whatever. There's just shitty people out there and everything. But
Yeah.
thankfully, we're good people, and
Mhm.
I know for myself, I think for you, we're at the point now too that if someone's shitty, we don't associate with them. Like if you thought I was a shitty person, you wouldn't have invited me on here.
True, true. I mean, or at the very least, you do your best. I mean, sometimes there's some people that maybe it's not so easy to get away from, but you grin and you bear it.
True, true.
And when you don't have to, you run the other way. Um, Fair enough. I like this little intro here, and now we know why your stage name has a plural.
Yes,
Um,
my stage name and my wrestling name.
get in the ring with the Hellion versus the friendly neighborhood comic book dude.
Ooh,
I'd go down for the count pretty quick. I actually fun. I'm not as big a wrestling person as you, but my cousins were big wrestling fans growing up. So when I would have sleepovers there, guess who got to be the test dummy to go through their fake, like their not fake, it was real, but they built their own tearaway table, like
oh
that would
really?
like come through, like come back and forth. Hi, crash test dummy here. Cousin Nabil was going through the table. So.
Didn't do
But
table. We did cookie sheets once.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, we've done that one. It's all fun and
Oh,
games till
oh
someone
boy.
gets caught.
This is true. So Kevin, at the start of every episode of Movies and Minutes, or shortly thereafter, in this case, I always like to ask my guests before we get into what movies we're going to talk about today, what kind of movies do you like specifically? What are the kinds that, really excite you, that really like get you going to the theater more than anything? You see it and you're like, damn, I gotta go.
Um, Comic book, sci-fi. Um, if I'm going to, if I'm going on my own,
Hmm.
it's usually like I can't miss a superhero movie. I'll go
Hmm.
by myself. I remember the heck was first X-Men movie, 99, I think.
99 or 2000, yeah.
Yeah, I could find no one to go with. Like to just show the how far we've come. I could
Yeah.
find no one to go with opening night.
Hmm.
I'm like,
Yeah.
this is X-Men. I'm not missing this. So I'm sitting
Hmm.
there by myself watching a movie about freaks that are all alone. I'm like, well, here I am.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I'll go superhero movies all the time. I love taking my son to them now. Like I
Hmm.
have absolute last seen it through his eyes. Um,
Hmm.
and certain things hit us different ways. Certain things hit me as an adult and a father, and certain things hit him as a kid differently. And he's old enough now we can discuss it too and just have a blast with it. I even if I know he's going, with a friend or whatever, I'm like, I will see it before we talk, so we can talk about it too. I
That's
want
awesome.
us to be able to have that. Um, I used to just go to anything like sci-fi, geeky, comedy, whatever.
Hmm.
Like, I'm bored, let's go.
Hmm.
With people I dated or whatever, like, let's head out to it.
Yeah.
Um, Now I'm trying, as we mentioned, I watch a ton of wrestling. I watch way too much wrestling. At the time we record this, I will be watching wrestling later tonight as well. There's so much of it and I love it. But because of
Yeah.
that, there's a lot of movies I have not seen,
Mm.
and I'm trying to get caught up on them as well.
Okay.
Sci-fi ones, action ones, good comedy, not like for example, first Hangover, very funny.
Hmm.
Diminishing Returns, third is horrible. It's
Mm.
not even worth it. Um,
Yeah.
so like,
It's trying to like catch lightning in a bottle for a third time.
yeah,
It's tough.
yeah. I will do horror, but I don't do horror for the sake of horror. I want to be entertained.
Okay.
I don't want to be disturbed. I don't want to be disgusted. I want to be
Okay.
entertained. Now, if you can do both, that's
Hmm.
cool.
Yeah.
But if it's just like almost
Hmm.
like a dare of who can sit and watch a movie long enough, no,
Hmm.
that's not for me.
Okay.
There's so many movies and shows I want to watch. I'm not wasting 2 hours on something that I hate.
This is true and fair. And I mean, we're pretty lucky with horror for the most part. They know the I want to say people's ability to sit there and watch a horror movie. It's like 90 minutes to 2 hours. More than that, like you really got to have something good to work with because people just don't have the attention span for more. So, but I get that, like the wanting to be entertained. I mean, yeah, I like my gore and my horror too, but it's it should be gore with purpose and not just splatterfest. That being said, though, one of the movies that we talk about today, maybe has some gore for gore's sake, but we'll get to that.
Well, like I'm not gonna
Yeah.
do Human Centipede. I'm aware of it. I know what happens. I
Hmm.
got other movies I want to watch.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna watch a movie as a dare. There's so much else I want to do and watch. But
I, I
like I got
I
no
get
problem with Saw. I think Saw
yeah,
is a brilliant idea.
I get not wanting to watch something on a dare. What about something that like especially with horror specifically, there's like the subgenre of like B horror, like it's they're all admittedly like probably gonna be bad, but that doesn't mean that you can't sit there and enjoy it, like even knowing that it's not gonna, win awards or anything.
Mhm.
Where's that fall in the scale?
If I'm having fun, it's great. Like first Toxic Avenger is so much fun.
Oh yeah,
That
yeah.
movie's just so great. Um Attack of Killer Tomatoes is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, and I loved every second of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um one of my friends, we were purposely watching bad horror movies as a group, not to
Mhm.
be disgusted, but to just be like Mystery Science Theater level entertained.
Yeah,
Full Moon
you're
has
sitting
some
there bullshitting while it's going.
yeah, Full Moon has some terrible movies, but it's fun.
Oh my God, yeah.
We did
All
we
the
did
like puppet master stuff.
we did Ginger Dead Man, which is terrible, but with friends it's a blast. Delta Delta Die.
Did you know? Wait. Rewind for a second though. Do you know there's a graphic novel for Ginger Dead Man?
Yes, there is.
Yeah,
I have not read it, but I'm aware of it.
I have it.
Yeah, Delta Delta Die was like a sorority horror movie thing by Full Moon. I
Mm-hmm.
can't remember who did it, but have you ever heard of Cherry Falls?
Mm-hmm.
Freaking such a stupid great idea.
It's a real deep cut.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people know that one or give
Mm-hmm.
a shit. And also, a difference between being disturbed versus being entertained. Um, Horror documentaries too. Some of them are brilliant and amazing, and some
Mm-hmm.
are just to really disgust you. And I have the
Mm-hmm.
same line. Cropsy's an amazing movie. I'll never watch
Mm-hmm.
it again. But for a documentary to just I mean, I'll call it a horror documentary. Like it's so
Mm-hmm.
disturbing, messed up, but I was entertained and engrossed, but not grossed the whole
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Well, so okay. I'll keep that in mind. So, what was the first trailer I gave you today for out of our three for the day?
The first trailer you gave me today was Equalizer 3.
So, let me ask you first. Have you seen the other two Equalizers?
I have not. However,
Okay.
however,
Mm-hmm.
sub thing here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my dad found out that my dad's retired, so he will just go to movies for the heck of it.
Sure.
Much like certain people that we've seen in the shop,
Mhm.
like you're tired, what else are you can do? You're gonna go see a movie and then bounce around town.
Yeah.
So he does that as well. And he found out I hadn't seen any of the John Wick movies. When
Oh
the
yeah.
fourth, when the fourth one came out, I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" I said, "It's just generic action movie, right?" He's like, "No, it's not
I
generic action
mean,
movie.
no, no,
No, it's not. It's
no.
brilliant." So I was like,
Yeah.
"All right, I'll watch the first one." I love the first one so much. I watched two and three the next day and found a totally legal way to watch fourth one from home while it was in theaters. Absolutely, totally.
Yeah,
Um,
it was probably, already on digital. I mean, most
yeah,
movies
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
hit
Spent
digital
my
streaming
20,
within like 2, 3 weeks.
yeah, spent my 20, $30, whatever, to rent it legally. And I'm super excited for the Continental. Like,
Yeah, on Peacock there. Yeah,
yep,
that seems like it's gonna be really cool. You
yep.
know what I really hope they do with that? I hope they get Winston to narrate it. I think that would be
Ooh,
great. Yeah.
be a good idea. But
Yeah.
yeah, I love those movies. I thought they were brilliant. I was deep diving because there's mythology references, there's all sorts of stuff in those.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
knowing how much I liked, and I talked to my dad for hours after, like we were
Hmm.
comparing notes and everything, great moment. And
Hmm.
he said, "Well, have you seen Equalizer?" I'm like, I haven't seen any. So
Hmm.
coincidentally, it's on the list. He really wants me to watch all of these as well.
It is very much like John Wick. I mean, the series is kind of like I'm trying to think of a good way. I mean, I don't want to just say it's Black John Wick because I mean Denzel is a very different person and actor than Keanu Reeves. So
Mm,
the characters are as different as they are. But Keanu Reeves is very specifically in those movies about vendetta personally, and the Equalizer movies are more like Denzel. He he's looking for people, that are maybe like down on their luck in society, and like he kind of hyper fixates on them, and then when something bad happens to them, he almost takes their like pain personally to help them, and that seems to like happen through the Equalizer versus like him going after somebody, for his own reasons. So I mean, so I know you wouldn't have the same level of emotional connection to a film that maybe you haven't seen the one and two of, granted that they're on the list. What what kind of takeaway did you get from the trailer? Like, what did you think that the premise was?
okay, so coincidentally,
Hmm.
um, I was recording a podcast earlier in the week, and we talked about Cable, the comic character Cable,
Oh, nice, yeah.
and I said that my
Hmm.
reference for that
Hmm.
is like how I interpret Cable now is that he is the soldier back from war. I spent this giant portion of my life as a soldier for war, and now that the war is over, what do I do? What is
Mhm.
my purpose outside of the war? Now, you also add that his war is out of time,
Mhm.
so he's a soldier out of a war that hasn't even happened yet. Like that's interesting.
Mhm.
It's almost Rambo in a way.
Mhm.
So I was first blood Rambo, not like cartoon
Yeah.
Rambo. So my interpretation of Equalizer, I was wondering if he's a similar thing. He was a soldier. He's obviously well trained, some
Mhm.
sort of way. And I was wondering, is he now out of war, out of whatever he was doing, trying to find peace, but something always finds him. He's like, I finally thought I was at peace. I thought I was okay. I thought I was settled. And you guys got to go and screw that all up. And I will do anything to protect these people and get back to that peace.
That's a pretty reasonable assumption. It's not far off from what it is, but it's he definitely makes conscious decisions about the things that he gets himself into. It's more like, hey, I'm at a coffee shop and I see a call girl being roughed up by her pimp, so he's there. The things that he seems to get involved with aren't they're not really seeking him out. He makes a decision to be like, okay, um, I'm gonna beat up this girl's pimp, and
Yep.
whatever happens from there happens because I think that helping this girl is the right thing to do, or something similar. But he after every movie, he seems to be somewhere else, settled in somewhere else with the peace, so that's you're right on. But he's regularly presented with scenarios that he can choose to ignore and chooses to not. Um, and in the third outing, he's got a change of scenery, crosses the pond because the first two movies are set in the U.S. and this one's in like a small-ish city in Italy. Um, so he gets like a different like type of enemy, different type of setting, like different kinds of things that he's running into. But they did state that this one is supposed to be the final one. Um,
Well, I
did
mean,
it? Yeah.
I don't know how old Denzel is off the top of my head, but I gotta imagine you can only do so
Yeah.
much. This is Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones again.
Yeah, I mean, or Liam Neeson, or you know what I mean. Like, yeah, they're all getting up there. He's got to be high 60s, if not low 70s.
Yeah. Looks
Um,
good. Looks good for his age. I hope I look good then.
he definitely does look a little weathered in this one compared to some other stuff. Like I'm starting to see his age catch up to him versus in some things where you're like, oh damn, Denzel still looks like Denzel from Training Day.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, do you think even though this is the final one, like, well, actually, let me reframe it this way. So you did see? Have you seen all four of the John Wicks now?
Yes.
Okay, so when that movie ended, did you get a sense for whether or not you thought John Wick was actually dead?
He's not dead.
He's not dead.
No.
Definitively, you feel he's not dead.
I absolutely don't think he's dead.
Okay. I mean, I don't think so either, but I think that's gut feeling and not anything specific that the movie gave me to say, yeah, he's for sure not dead. Um, Especially considering who, the post credit scene. Um, but so do you think Denzel being in a similar position, do you think he makes it out or he doesn't make it out?
So I guess my question is, how big are the Equalizer movies?
They're not as big as the John Wick movies.
No.
um,
And I mean, like, this feels
mhm.
like, I don't want to say
It-
like direct to VHS, direct to DVD, but like
mhm.
Arnold and Stallone were up here, and then we had like slightly lower action heroes.
Mhm.
So if I put John Wick up here, I'm get Equalizer here. So
Yeah.
we don't
Mhm.
need to continue. We don't need to like,
Mhm.
hey, let's bring in young Equalizer and then continue the franchise with this younger
Right.
character. Like, we
Right.
don't need to do anything like that. So I think you could, and a trilogy is a good way, kill them off, be done with it, walk away.
Mhm.
And I think if you got three movies and you can kill the main character off in the third, that's a good stop. John Wick doing four,
Mhm.
Continental. There, and I don't have anything I could put my finger on in the fourth one, but I'm just like, you're not done yet.
Uh, I mean, I think we're getting a fourth Spidey. I know that's sometimes up for contention.
Yeah.
But I mean, I won't say definitively because obviously I want people to go see the movie. I will say that um, it is a lot like John Wick in that if you have an actor or a franchise that has some sort of following, even if it's not as big as as like say John Wick, um, I think it's not a smart play for them to write themselves into a corner and say something has happened definitively because I'm sure there's always someone somewhere that could be like, I've got another story or
Hmm.
I've got another take, and then they'd have to like go full reboot. And I'm sure they always want to keep those doors like creaked open, like, oh hey Denzel, what's going on? So, but yeah, it I mean it's a trilogy, but at the same time, like I don't think anything's ever really the end anymore. I mean, like when
Yeah.
movies are like the end, then you're like, oh wow, they're taking a real risk here.
You
But
pretty much need someone to die in real
yeah,
life to say, oh yeah, they're definitely done.
yeah,
I mean,
um,
it looks interesting. It looks
mhm,
really good.
yeah,
It looks like something I want to watch at
hmm.
home on my own time. I wasn't excited enough that I'm like, I want to go see this in theaters.
This is fair. This is fair.
Looks
I
fun.
think, yeah, I think the one thing about this one, and I don't know if it's as similar in John Wick. It's kind of weird, like making the comparison between the two because they are similar concepts, but I even just thinking about it critically, there are noticeable differences. Like, you ever notice with the John Wick movies, he's very flat effect, right? Like he's doing the thing, but you don't feel like you get a whole lot of emotion out of him about like how he feels about the thing that he's doing. Like, is he happy that he's killing all these people? Is he sad? Is he indifferent? He's just kind of doing it, right?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
this is what I have to do. Not
right.
I want to, not I should, not whatever. It's like, well, this is just what I have to do.
In the
So that's like,
Equalizer
well,
movies, yeah.
yeah, I have to shower to get up to go to work and I have to
Yeah.
drive, but like, is there enjoyment in showering or driving? I mean, not really. It's just what you have to do to get through the day. And it's like, well, I have to kill this guy so I can go over here.
Yeah. Denzel seems to get a little bit more enjoyment out of it. I mean,
Okay.
like he really like I don't want to say he's like a sadist, but he definitely like you can see him emoting. Like I almost feel like he's like got like some form of satisfaction if he knows he like helped somebody, stopped somebody, did something like he he feels and you can see it and it's kind of gratifying to like those moments like when he's really like kicking ass, they're fun. So something to look forward to when you get around to that one on the list.
All right.
Yeah. Number two trailer. I actually don't remember which order I sent these to you in because I was kind of up in the air about which one I really want to like. I mean, the show is about me trying to, get people to the movies, and in a way I try to pitch some of them like harder than others. Um what was the second trailer I sent you tonight?
Slotherhouse.
All right, Slotherhouse. So this one kind of circles back to where we were starting our conversation about like B horror and like I almost want to call them a guilty pleasure movies.
Mhm.
Like you're watching them, they suck, but like you're still having a good time. What what did this one seem like it was about?
And like, I think what got me is this is going to be in theaters. Like, this looks like Sharknado level.
So it was in theaters for one night. I don't know if it's one of those things where like if they like look at the box office receipts and they're like, hey, this did better in preview sales than we thought it would. Like if it'll get like a longer run. But I saw it on Wednesday for its like one night engagement in Syracuse at Regal. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Um.
I mean,
Yeah.
you have to be in theaters at least one night for Oscar contention.
This is
That,
true. Jeez,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Come on, Slaughterhouse for Oscar contention. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. I don't know, man.
Um,
Like if the strikes stay the way they are, the Oscars are going to
true,
be dead.
true. Will be very interesting.
Yeah. Um but yeah, so what did this one, other than ridiculous, what did it give you?
But I mean, that's the thing. It looks ridiculous. It looks absurd. It looks like a
Yeah.
joke that I'm like, how have I not heard this joke before? Have I not made this as a stupid joke? How have I not heard this as a stupid joke?
Yeah. Yeah, somebody somewhere made this joke and then they're like, well, if you like your joke so much, why don't you marry it or turn it into a movie? And they're like, I will.
It's a
But
sloth. Like in the
yeah.
end, it's a sloth. Are
Yeah.
they like when you actually look at sloth and the claws and everything, you're like, oh yeah, that
Mhm.
would absolutely kill someone. Like those are
Mhm.
big, nasty claws. But they're sloths and they move
Yeah.
so slow.
Hmm.
But your slasher movie ones, like from the 80s, that's a big thing of like how slow moving they are. Like the girl's
Hmm.
running away and she trips and falls, and the Jason or Michael Myers, whoever's just walking, but somehow
Hmm.
catches up. So I'm like, okay, a sloth, like pursuing and somehow still catching up could be really, if the sloth is slow, it could actually be really funny too. And then I
It's
could see,
definitely 50-50. Like it like plays like it's slow sometimes, and then other times it's like faster. It's like the Flash almost. Like you're like, what? How? Um, this movie, this movie reminded me a lot of Scary Movie. Like
okay,
you remember watching Scary Movie, but like those were very clearly like spoof parody type things. This one does some stuff during like a sort of serious movie. I mean, it's not serious, but like I imagine it wants itself to be taken more seriously than Scary Movie, and then in turn it is I'd have to take it less seriously just because like at one point the sloth like wants to kill somebody and gets in like a it gets in like a Mercedes or like a sports car or something and drives to the hospital and it like drives past a cop and like it's you know what I mean, you're just supposed to be like, wait a minute, this thing can drive and just like and drive faster than anybody. And yeah. um but basically the premise is it's set around a sorority house, which is funny because you mentioned the sorority movie a little while ago. And one of the girls wants to run against another girl and like to be the sorority president, and she's like, oh no, I need an exotic animal to make me stand out. And very like plot convenient moments like, hey, I'm walking through the mall and some poacher is sitting there and is like, hey, you need an exotic animal, I I got you, come to my place tomorrow. Oh cool, I'm just gonna show up to this rando's house to buy a exotic animal. Like just like bad writing, but you're just like sitting there like laughing at the parts that are actually kind of funny.
I mean, it looks dumb fun. It
It
totally
is.
looks like
It is.
something to watch with the group and just
Mhm.
like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm watching this. This is
Yeah,
stupid. Like it looks like dumb fun.
I
Um,
100% think it will be. I think it should. I don't know what its like trajectory is. I have to imagine something like this will hit Shutter at some point because that seems like the place for regular and B horror. But
well, I mean, like and it's on the list. I haven't seen it yet. Like Cocaine Bear.
Mhm. Oh
It
yeah, that was
just
a good one.
it looks like dumb fun. Like
Yeah,
it sneaks on plane. I know what I'm getting into. I know it's gonna be dumb,
yeah.
but I'm gonna have fun watching it.
That one was a little better than this. I mean, like that one was also Ray Liotta's like last filmed movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, he was in that. And Elizabeth Banks did it. I mean, that one was actually pretty solid. Like if like you can make a movie where you get away with like showing like 12-year-olds trying cocaine for the first time, like bravo.
Sure.
You know, you got that past the censors and they were just like, yeah, sure, you can have this. Okay. But I don't know if like it has anything to do with the fact that it's sort of based on a true story. Like
True.
there was like a thing in the woods like, well, I mean, maybe the kids did try cocaine. Maybe they told us they did. We're just showing it like it was.
Yeah, and
But
get away with it.
yeah. Um, do you think that that's? I mean, like I understand that I'm crazy enough to go see something like that in theaters. I feel like everybody else is it's like hit and miss. I mean, on the one hand, there was like probably 15 or 20 other people in that theater, so I know there's other crazies. But do you think that's like a drag some people to go see Dumb Funny, or wait till you guys have like a get together at home, and watch?
That feels like a at home and watch.
Yeah,
Like I remember going with friends and we'd go to Blockbuster or whatever when those were still around and like, all right, let's grab something stupid tonight.
yeah,
Like let's just find the dumbest thing we can find and get some drinks and food and just make a night of it.
right.
That Slotherhouse would be perfect for something like that.
I think so too. I mean, like, I'd love to see something like that get like I don't know, a cult following or something other than widely panned, which is probably what it's gonna get. But yeah, realistically, that seems more like an at home movie.
Oh, but like you mentioned widely panned,
Mhm,
and you do your movie reviews online, and we've both read your national people.
mhm,
Oh, I write for this big newspaper, big whatever, and here's my review.
mhm.
And you'll see like superhero movies done, Marvel ones. And there's always, no matter how good it is, whatever you think best Marvel one, whatever I think, there's
Mhm.
always some critic that's like, oh, this is stupid. No, superheroes. No, I guess it was all right. But they're
Mhm.
sending people to review it that already don't like that type of movie. It would be
Yeah.
like, oh, I took our classical music reviewer and sent him the new rap album. Of course, they're
Yeah.
going to say, I don't like it to start with. It could be the greatest album ever for that genre. But if you don't
Right.
like that genre, you're going to hate it. So we see people like, oh, this movie's so stupid and all. Okay, but you don't like that kind of movie. So you're already coming in negative.
Right. You're the wrong demographic to be reviewing this objectively. Or at the very least, you need to check those sensitivities at the door before you write your review so it's not very obvious that you have a bias.
Yeah. Like I,
Mhm.
I would rather take the opinion of someone who has enjoyed many of them within that genre and then whether or not he or she liked this one. Okay, I
Mhm.
already know you like these type of movies. Did you like this one that I could put into this box as well?
Yeah. And I mean, I always hope that like people don't just look at the stars that a reviewer gives and like maybe reads the details. I mean, myself, personally, I'm gonna say that the written review for this I gave it 2 out of 5 to. But that being said, in the review, I actually write things like that I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I just don't, I can sit there, enjoy, and like find it a funny movie while also saying like, hey, this like in terms of being like a cinematic masterpiece, it is not,
No.
you know. So, and there's two sides to every review. And you're 100% right. I think that brings us to number 3. That would be Bottoms. What did you think Bottoms was about? How did that trailer make you feel?
I want to see this movie right now. I
All right.
was blown away by this trailer.
Okay.
So I was talking with friends recently, and we're like, what happened to the teenage sex comedy?
Hmm.
And I have certain opinions on teenage sex comedies. Whatever one comes out when you're the perfect age is
Hmm.
great. You can
Yes.
have respect for what came before, but you're not
Hmm.
going to like it as much. And
Everybody needs their own coming of age teen sex
every
comedy.
generation needs one. Yep. Not
Hmm.
even generation, every like couple of years needs one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because there's always, somebody just went from being 13 to 17 and they're like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
this is our movie.
Yep. So
Hmm.
like American Pie was the
Hmm.
one that came
Oh
out
my
when I
God.
was the perfect age.
Hmm.
I can appreciate Porky's, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, certain other ones. I can appreciate it, but I do not like them as much.
Yeah.
And then going the other way, I saw Super Bad once. It's okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Hmm.
But then I'm like, boy, there is a gap. Like there hasn't been like that
Hmm.
crossover huge teenage
Hmm.
sex comedy in a while. Like there's
Hmm.
hasn't been like that one that's like the touchstone. You're like, oh yeah, everyone of a certain age saw this movie. I guarantee it. There
Hmm.
hasn't been one. Holy shit, this movie should be that. Just based on the trailer, it should be that. It looks like it is lesbian teen sex comedy. And it looks brilliant.
So I'm glad that you're having the reaction that you're having because I have very, very similar comments and like thoughts on this. and I mean, I don't ever like give this disclaimer out. Like, I just sort of hope people understand. You and I haven't talked about this before we hopped on this. This is just wholly, the conversation that we're having right now.
Mhm.
I had I had a moment as I was watching this, and I just thought to myself, I see a lot of movies, like a lot more than most people, and a lot of like middle of the road stuff. And I can like appreciate something, and I can like watch something and enjoy it. And I said to myself, I can't remember the last time in recent memory when I enjoyed a film so thoroughly, like from start to finish, rather than like be like, ha, that was a good part, but like overall like middling. This movie is the touchstone, I think, personally. And even though the leads are supposed to be lesbian, and like that's one type of like teen sex comedy that isn't as storied. You know what I mean? We've got like the male point of view, done 100 times over. So it's cool to have the different, but they also, it's not just from their perspective. They have other people that like join them through the films. You see things from this lesbians, this person, like everybody's like sort of got a perspective to add to this, and it's great. So it doesn't feel like you're only gonna like this if you're a lesbian or bisexual girl. And it's just like, you ever get a movie that doesn't hold back. They don't make you feel like you're watching a movie in the strictest sense, because they're not like watching what they say, watching what they do. Like they like say and they do things where you feel like it could happen. This this movie does that a lot. Um, I was just gonna say, did you get a feel for what you thought the premise was, despite the feel good feel that you got like wanting to see it?
Um, almost like because teen sex comedy, and also your in a way like your summer camp genre of we're the misfits, we're the put
Mm-hmm.
down upon, and this is
Mm-hmm.
our chance to take our power back.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of seems like both.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like we're shit on, we're put down. How do I get the girl? How do
Mm-hmm.
I be strong? How do
Mm-hmm.
I get in control? How do I not be um pushed over by life anymore?
Mm-hmm.
And let's see how I can make this happen. And to take that story that we've seen many times and put someone different as our protagonist,
Mm-hmm.
like everything else could be cookie cutter and be the same, but because we're telling it from someone else's point of view that
Mm-hmm.
should have been
It's
done
fresh.
before, it's
Yeah.
fresh and it looks brilliant. And it also looks like, I mean, haha, this looks like most of the cast is going to be lesbian women, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But from what's in the trailer, someone had a lot of balls to pull this off.
Yeah, I mean, like that literal
Ooh,
start of that trailer where the principal says the line about like the ugly, like, yeah, like, oh my God, like. And then I thought to myself, maybe that's just a stinger for the trailer and they don't actually say that in the movie, and then it comes up and I'm like, they went for it, man.
yeah, and I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
so okay, like not comparing the two quality wise,
Mm-hmm.
but every so often, if you turn into like Family Guy now, you're well aware that Fox just stopped paying attention. No one is paying attention, and they are getting away with a lot of shit. That you're shocked. You're like, you're still on network TV, right? You're getting away with this stuff. I don't know how Bottoms. I forget. It was in the trailer, obviously, but I forget who's releasing it. Who what movie
Um,
studio like
MGM, which if
through
I
Orion?
remember,
Yeah, where did Orion come back as a company?
yeah, yeah, right.
It's been gone
MGM
since the
though,
80s.
I think they got if I remember right, like last year, I thought Amazon took controlling stake of MGM, or at the very least they tried. Um
Yeah, but someone
so
just like
yeah.
hands. I don't know how. I don't know who signed what deal, who sacrificed what to what god, but they got like left alone, hands off, do what you want. I don't know how they pulled it off, but this looks like there's
And
gonna be
that's how you
a lot,
get a good movie. That's how you get a good movie.
there's gonna be a
You
lot of
gotta,
teens and 20s that are gonna find this movie and go, "This is my movie." The cult following is gonna be
yeah.
crazy for it.
I really hope so. So this one above the others that we talked about today, I gave this five, like easily five
Mhm.
stars. And when I posted my review on Letterboxd, I never look ahead of time because I don't want the numbers to like screw around with the back of my head as I'm coming up with something. But I look after just to see like if I'm on par with or not. And everybody's giving this fours, four and a halves, fives. It's like the average score is like 4.2. So I'm like, okay, so very clearly everybody's loving this. So I hope more people go see it. It's it's got some competition right now. I mean, there's some other things in theaters that people might pick over this, but hopefully, I mean, we had like a decent amount of people in the theater, and there was a fair amount of them that were like teenage, probably. If not, they were like maybe college, like young college age. So like they could still appreciate it, because it was in recent memory for them being in high school. Um, I should probably say what the premise is though, like more than anything, like it really was about two girls who are a lot like guys in this same role in most movies where they're into two different cheerleaders. They're lusting after them, however you want to think about it. One's actually probably interested in one girl more crudely than the other. The other's more like, romantically and like physically attracted to her. But they're like, hey, we need to like defend ourselves, from a rival school. We've got a big football game coming up. Let's start a fight club and like get close to these girls, and then from there we can like make a move. And it sort of works. I mean, but at the same time, in this day and age that we live in, I mean, like, whether you're a guy who likes a girl who likes a girl, a guy who likes a guy, whatever the configuration works out to, the thing that movies a lot of times don't remind us of, and I mean, feel free to agree or disagree. Um, a lot of movies just are like, oh yeah, this is a compatible match. You know, this is just how the story is going to work out, and they don't normally tell you like or show you what's going to happen if it's like, hey, I'm into you, but like the other one might be like, hey, no, I'm not. I don't go that way, and I'm gonna basically shut you down. And this one does do that for one of the girls, you know. So,
Well, and I mean, like,
mhm,
it's bathroom logic in a way. And by that, I mean,
mhm,
when people say, oh, how come we don't see people use the bathroom in this movie or TV show or comic
mhm.
or whatever? It's like, because that's who gives a shit? No one wants
Right.
that part of the story.
Mhm,
That's an off camera, off panel thing.
mhm,
That's not part of the story.
mhm.
So, who wants a story about rejection?
No,
I can
definitely
live
not.
rejection. I'm here to be entertained and escape. I can live
Yeah,
rejection.
yeah.
Um, but then when you do see it, as it sounds
Mhm,
this movie does, then it's like, oh, this is different.
mhm.
I haven't seen this before or in a while or rarely. This
Yeah.
intrigues me. But you can't do it all the time because then everything's a downer. You movies
Right.
ultimately have to be the escape.
Yeah.
But to do it differently, and maybe because there's two, it's like, okay, one's successful, one isn't, we can get away with
Mhm.
this more.
Yeah. Mhm. I mean, and it's good too. It's like a nice dichotomy because you're like, we don't want to lie to you and tell you that it's always going to work out every time, but at the same time, you're right. Like we don't want to give you, if there was only one of them and they did the downer thing, you'd almost feel like, damn, this whole movie was for naught. Why did I sit here?
Yeah, because
So,
the only time you really see like, oh, the pretty person I was going after rejected me is if you get the also pretty person that was the best friend throughout the movie. It's like, oh, I should have been with you all along. You've been there the whole
mhm,
time. And also, they still win in the end.
mhm,
It just,
mhm,
they take a roundabout way to get there. But to just have flat out rejection is
mhm.
rare to see.
You're good at this because I mean there is some, if that's to be considered a trope, there may be a little bit of that in this, but we won't say
Ooh.
who's who. So um
No,
it
I
does
want to see
this
this
seem like
movie bad.
something.
This
Yeah,
looks incredible.
you
I
think
mean,
you think go see it?
I don't check. Okay,
Mhm.
let's just say the presumed audience for this.
Mhm.
I don't look at me. I don't check any of those boxes,
Yeah.
and I want to see it.
Mhm. That's
So
and I mean ideally that's what you want. You want as a filmmaker to be able to break past a barrier and appeal to more than your perceived demographic. I mean, because obviously, if you only have so many people that fit your demographic, you're going to top out at a certain dollar amount, from the studio point of view. And so someone somewhere on the studio level must have been like, no, this will appeal above that, or else, stuff like this wouldn't get greenlit. Or again, maybe like you said, it's the Fox method where somebody just like left a check on the table and they were like, we don't actually need a ton of money to make this. We just need like the green light.
Yeah.
So, but yes, back to the circling back. Do you think that this is something that you would go to see?
Okay. Let me word it this way.
Mm.
Again, knowing what I look like, knowing what boxes I check, I would be more nervous going to see this in theater by myself than I was going to see X-Men by myself.
Well, okay.
I would feel like people would be like, "What the hell are you doing in here?"
Like
honestly, I would.
Yeah, yeah. You know what I would say to those people? I'd be like, "Why are you looking at me? Turn your head to the screen. You're missing the good stuff."
Yeah. If someone's like, "I'll go with you," then absolutely, I would go see this.
So what I'm hearing is
I have a feeling he's too young for this movie.
Definitely, 100%. But so what I'm hearing is you need to like roundabout like make a date happen. It's, you want to go see a movie?
Yeah.
Bottoms? Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah. You know what? Because people have said if you're doing dinner and a movie, you do the movie first, so you have something to discuss during the dinner.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, it all just kind of depends on how the timing like works out, because dinner's more like you can do whenever, and the movies are usually more like, hey, here's your options. But
yeah, I think this would be a perfect one for that, because you could see this movie, discuss it during dinner, and get a very good read of the other person. What did they find funny? What did they find offensive? What did they like? What did they not like? How did they feel?
If it's like a first date, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think a movie like this would reveal a lot about a person, and you would know right away, like, is this someone I would like to continue to date or not?
Yeah. Well, I think you'd even get that. You'd at least get the hints of that during the movie when like people are laughing. If you're laughing and they're just like sitting there pensively, probably like might want to feign like stomach distress before dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could get. I think a movie like this, like, I mean, I'm excited for it. Like, my reactions on, like, out there for it. But I think for certain people, you could get a real good reaction of how they tick based on this movie.
I hope so. I hope that it does well. I mean, like, it's really hard to gauge these days what makes money and what doesn't. I mean, when you get like $100 million Blue Beetle getting like $17 million opening weekend projections, you know what I mean? Like crazy stuff like that. And then other things like Barbie, which who could have predicted that meteoric rise?
Yeah.
Highest grossing Warner Brothers film of all time now.
Which is insane. I like Kevin Smith, and his movies make nothing.
Yeah, no, yeah. His stuff are like cult hit darling projects at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sure if like he breaks even, he's happy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Right. So I have that's a whole other thing. I got theories on him.
Ooh.
Even as a fan, I got theories.
I see. If I had known these ahead of time, I could have asked him when I met him at Boston Fan Expo last year.
Oh, these are not questions I would ask him.
Oh, darn. Okay. Well, sure. Right. But then you could send a patsy like me to do it, and then I'll get the information, and you don't have to put yourself on the line.
All right. Well, like, part one is I think he's getting a divorce, and he's keeping it secret.
I hope not.
I think him living in Jersey most of the time. I think him moving into a different house. I think him selling his original art all lines up. Like, I hope not too, but I kind of think something's up.
I mean, she was in the last Clerks, wasn't she?
She was, and she's supposed to be on the cruise.
Oh, the cruise.
Yeah, they got Jay and Silent Bob cruise next year.
Oh,
whole gang. Fun. Everyone you think is on there is on there.
Elias's short new friend from Clerks 3?
Oh, I don't know for sure. Elias is supposed to be there. Brian Walt, like Kevin Smith, Jake, his wife. Don't know about Harley.
She's got her own life to live.
Yeah. But no, I really think something's up with those two. But that's not a question I would ask him. That's his own business.
That's fair. That's fair. I thought these were like Illuminati Kevin Smith theories or something.
No.
Now it's just getting sad.
No, he legit is a regular guy that struck lightning.
Mhm. Mm, mm. I, yeah. If 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 only I could have been one of those friends of his that he like greenlit a movie for.
Yup.
Yeah, that would have been fun. Except for like half of them like still don't do anything in Hollywood.
No.
Like there's one guy that I love. He wrote a bunch of the Angel comics after the Angel show ended, and
Mhm.
he ended up being a Kevin Smith like buddy, Brian Lynch,
Yep.
who yeah, so he did Big Helium Dog, and yeah, like after that and the Angel stuff, like he's just like done nothing.
Mhm.
So like I mean it's funny, like you'd think like I'm sure I mean I guess sooner or later like Kevin Smith has to like let you, go on your own and see if you can make it, but yeah. All right.
I
Last
think
thing.
Joey Lauren Adams should have had a bigger career than she did.
Yeah, same thing. Same exact thing. Yeah. It's weird. Like some of the ones that are just like that are just like been there all straight through, and then other ones that like that gone.
Mhm.
Um, last question for you before I let you go. What, if any, movies are you looking forward to personally? Like in the near future?
I don't even know what's coming out in the near future.
Man, you're
I
like you're like me. You're like a list guy. You don't have a list for these
I
things.
have
Like even though you're
no
behind.
I'm that far behind. I have no list. Like all I know is
Mhm.
I want to see Marvel stuff. I want to take my kid to it, and that is like all I know.
Well, I did hear the rumor leak the other day that The Marvels is supposed to be the shortest
Yup, like an
running
hour and a
time.
half.
Yeah, just like just over like 98 minutes.
Yeah,
But that's like super short. I think the next shortest one they said was like um was it Incredible Hulk was like an hour and 52
yeah. But an hour and a half seems like way too short. But we don't have to introduce anyone, so that does save a lot of time.
other than the villain, but I mean I guess if we're not gonna like devote a whole bunch of backstory to a no-name villain, then I'm cool with it. I personally don't like a lot of exposition for my MCU villains if they're like essentially nobodies. So I
No, and
want character growth.
and we're at a point like for certain heroes now, like I don't need the origin story.
Hmm.
We're done. And all three of these heroes have been introduced. Like
Yep.
we're good. Let's just go.
Yep.
Okay,
WandaVision,
so
Miss Marvel, and Captain Marvel. That's all you really need to have watched.
yeah,
Maybe Avengers, Infinity, and Endgame, but that's more just like extra at this point.
yeah. So I mean,
Hmm.
maybe or maybe they don't have faith. I don't know. But like, I'm aware that one's coming up. I am grossly unaware of
Hmm.
other stuff. Honestly, I'll like go by theater and go, oh yeah,
All right, then I've got one. I've got one for you. Besides Bottoms, which I'm sure you'll get to.
yeah.
But just to like end the note on something that you mentioned earlier, horror that entertains more than just is horror for horror's sake. Have you ever watched any of the Agatha Christie like movies that Kenneth Branagh's done the last couple years, like Murder in the
No,
Orient or?
no. And I actually, I think I know what movie you're talking about.
Hmm.
And I was half paying attention to trailer. I'm like, it's just some random like PG-13-ish horror one. And then
Yep.
I saw, and then I heard, I didn't even see because I wasn't paying attention. I heard Perot, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because I know
Same
that
thing.
they've been doing the movies. I'm like, this is
Mhm.
part of that whole thing. I didn't
That's what
have
I
a
said.
clue. Now I'm intrigued though.
So was I. So I had a very similar experience. So they've had two trailers, and the first trailer does everything, but like wait till the end to show you Poirot. Like every scene that he's supposed to be in, which you end up seeing in the second trailer, they don't show his face. You don't hear his voice, anything. So you just think it's like some haunting in Venice movie,
Yeah,
and then at the end you hear him, and you're like, son of a bitch, this is an Agatha Christie. But it has the tone and feel of a genuine horror movie. It does not feel like a Christie murder mystery like the others have, which I'm genuinely excited for more than anything. I'm actually Monday, shameless plug for Regal. Once a month they do something called Mystery Movie Monday, where for $5 you get to see a new movie that hasn't been released yet. You don't know what the film is until it starts though.
oh
And I play a game with it sort of sometimes because when they show you, they do show you like what the runtime is, and it's usually a window of about 2 to 3 weeks. I've never seen anything in a Monday mystery movie that was more than 3 weeks out. except for Gran Turismo, which was a Monday mystery movie, but that only went further because of the SAG delays.
Okay.
Because I saw it on the 25th of July. It's supposed to come out on my birthday, August 11th. And then the SAG after stuff started and they bumped it to the end of August. But I'm sure that wasn't the original plan. But the runtime looks most closely associated to Haunting in Venice. So I'm gonna be real excited if on Monday that like the whatever the movie starts to roll and I like hear like Poirot's voice, I'll be like, yes. So but Kevin.
That's kind of a brilliant way to do your trailers too. We'll get the
Mhm,
horror movie audience and we'll get the pro
mhm,
audience and have double
mhm.
audience in theory.
Totally. I mean, and I mean, hopefully there's enough of a following because it seems like they're different enough that they, you know, what I mean, murder mysteries is going to draw in more true crime people than horror specifically, and then the horror people are going to just be like, okay, is this like a real thing? Like, is there really like a ghost or something,
Yeah,
or is it just like a fake out? We'll have to watch and find out.
curious. It does look cool.
Yeah. So, well, I will not keep you any longer, my friend. Thank you for being on. Enjoy your wrestling tonight.
Thank you. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't.
Sometimes you don't. Hopefully, this is one of
Sometimes I
the
don't
ones you
enjoy
do,
it.
though.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. I will see you very soon.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.